So also today, obviously, we have everybody's favorite voice, Snoopy, Xander. In addition to playing Xander, he's appeared on shows like Private Practice, and he also plays Kevin Lynch on Criminal Minds. A few fans out there, I'll bet. So, in their first visit to Planet ComiCon Kansas City, please welcome Clare Kramer and Brendon.
Hello, New York.
Hey, thank you both for coming out today. I know we've got an audience out here that I'm guessing has a few questions. So if you have a question, there is a microphone right here. Everybody please line up at the mic. Take your turn getting your question in. Don't be bashful, come on up. You have questions for them. We can ask some questions too, but this guy here has a question. So.
Yeah. Well, and to start things off, we want to say thank you guys for coming. Thank you.
It's wonderful. This is my first time here. It's funny, so I always figure out, like I always check the weather on my Weather Channel app on my phone just to see what I should pack. So I do it, and I put in Kansas City, and it says that there's 2 Kansas Cities. And like everyone I talk to, I'm like, guys, do you know that there's 2 Kansas Cities? And they're like, yeah, I know. No one had a clue. And then so like I'm even talking to my stewardess, who kind of flies to Kansas City a lot. And I'm like, so there are 2 Kansas Cities. And I said, and they're fairly close together. She's like, what's the deal? She's like, I don't know. So finally I found out that it's the same Kansas City, there's just a river that's running through it. But nobody knew. I'm talking a solid 10 days of asking people about these 2 Kansas Cities. And I was like, yeah, there's 2 Kansas Cities. I'm like, why? I said, I don't know. So there's only 1 Kansas City.
Well, we're glad you made it.
2 states. There we go. All right, thank you guys. See ya.
He absolutely did pack the right shoes, though, for the weather. Show your shoes.
Big Converse.
I bought these shoes in Scotland. That's my Scottish accent. It's pretty horrible. Sounds Canadian.
So we've got 1 person lining up, and I think a few more may be lining up soon. I'll just say real quick, I'll be the bad guy right now. They are going to be at their table all weekend, so unfortunately we can't have requests for autographs or staged photos here, and probably no requests for hugs, kisses, marriage, all of that stuff. That's okay, because we can ask some good questions.
Nick's open to marriage proposals.
Marriage proposals are on the table today.
And he's equal opportunity. He'll understand anything.
I also wear diamond rings, too, so you can propose to me.
That's great. Hey, you have a question?
Yes, it's for Nick. I personally think one of your best shining moments was talking Willow down at the end of season 6.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have a moment that you think just topped the cake?
Absolutely.
What would that moment be?
No, okay, I'll tell you what it was. So there was an episode called Buffy versus Dracula. Yeah, right? So I come up on Dracula in the cemetery. And I was like, kind of like, it's like, come on, put him up. And I said, oh yes, master, And I remember like, I just nailed it. And I was like, because going from, come on buddy, and it's like, oh, whatever you say. And I remember like walking to my trailer and I'm like, there's Miami. There's some magic on that reel, back when they actually used film. I'm like, so that was to me, I'm like, I'm really good. But also that whole episode, it was also like the whole, the masturbator line. That was great. Was Butt Monkey in that?
Yes.
In that one too? It's crazy, that's a great episode. I did, yeah. So yeah, playing the Butt Monkey was pretty awesome.
Thank you. Next question. We have another one in line? I think it is our Star Trek Enterprise.
All right, so I have a question actually that I want an answer from both of you.
Oh, do you?
I do.
You're very assertive with that.
Obviously, the biggest thing you guys are remembered for here amongst us Kansas City geeks is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But what is the thing that 30 years from now when someone says Brendon or Clare Kramer that you want them to think of?
Well, I mean, Buffy's not a bad thing to have to think of in terms of work, It was a pinnacle for me personally. It was kind of the start of my career and my first job in television and one of my first jobs acting ever. So, I mean, whether or not it's what everyone remembers me for, it'll always have like a super special place in my heart. And obviously also the other thing that I had just an amazing time filming was a cheerleading movie called Brendon and Clare Kramer. That was also one of the highlights. I hit both those very early in my career.
Yeah, but your best years are still to come.
Yeah, exactly. No, but you know, both those projects hold like a really special place in my heart. And interestingly, when I moved to LA and did both those, that's basically my friend base now, is people either who are in Brendon or Buffy. So a double good thing for me, I guess.
Was it lightsaber?
Yeah.
Did you guys meet on that movie or on Buffy?
We met on Brendon.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
the movie.
And then, yeah.
That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
But that's the cheerleading movie.
That's a cheerleading movie, and then actually
Found your phone, I see.
I found my phone.
It was missing.
I didn't have the job Buffy until after Bring It On, and everyone, you know.
Cray.
Yeah, it was cray. It was so cray.
That shit cray.
Nick, your turn.
Being a good father. I don't have kids. Someday, 30 years from now, I think he's a good dad. There you go.
That's the best answer.
All right, next question.
Or a really shitty boyfriend. I'm not really sure.
Yes.
Hi, I actually have a question for both of you. Claire, I was wondering, I got your autograph earlier, and obviously you're a very nice person. And in Buffy...
Why didn't you get mine?
I did. Because you're not a very nice person.
Shut up!
Let the lady talk. Continue.
I was wondering, how is it playing such a evil person and somebody that's mean a lot? Is it really weird for you?
Well, I didn't think of Glory as evil or mean when I was playing her, because as an actress, I feel like you have to approach each character, you know, just like you would as a person. You know, you look at your own positive attributes, and that's kind of how you go about your life. And you know, other people may think that you have negative qualities, but you don't really focus on them yourself. So when I took on Glory, that was kind of my sensibility with her. Like, hey, listen, she just wants to go home, okay? She just needs to get her key and go home. So I didn't really think of her that way. And she was a lot of fun to play. Obviously, the dialogue and the cadence.
And the clothes.
And the clothes. So it was actually very easy to play her and very fun and in a way freeing, because obviously when you're acting, there's no social inhibitions. Like in life, I would never say or do the things that Glory does, or some of the other characters I played. But on the screen, you can, you know, obviously that's what you're supposed to do. And so there's something very freeing about being able to, you know, say things and do things without negative repercussions.
Check out that bird right there.
That bird is
Hey buddy,
crazy.
how are you? It's great.
Hi.
Crack it up. You look exhausted. I guess that's like it's tough being a bird, isn't it?
You can stand up and wave to everyone in case the people in the back can't see you. It's like the bird's kind of like, you know, he's just staring at us. So. Actually, I'm not even sure if he's staring at us. But
Of course there's a bird sitting here.
And Nick, I wanted to ask, the episode where you got your eye poked out was obviously, well, sad, but it was also amazing acting. I was wondering if you just screamed for bloody murder, or did you actually like draw on anything, or was it just...
I drew on losing my eye.
Did anybody
Once you
give
lose
you
an
a
eye,
cheer?
it's something you don't forget. Well, actually, you know, it was just, I'm like, what would I do if somebody was gouging my eye out? So you think that. And it's like, it would probably be noisy. But also, too, they had them, like when they put Fillian's, when his thumb went in my eye, so they taped his thumb in and they put like a half a thumb, like a prosthetic thumb. Then there was a tube of blood that ran up there. So when they said action, they squirted all this blood into my eyes. So that actually really did hurt. You know, and it's like a soapy. It's like corn syrup. It's just straight.
Yeah, it's like Cairo, and they're always like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. We've tested it, and it won't hurt at all."
Yeah, unless you put it inside your eye socket. And we did it like 5 or 6 times too, and I was getting so pissed. You know, like, come on, guys, really.
Well, thank you guys.
You're welcome.
All right, next question. While they're coming up, I'll just throw out quick. Have you guys kept up with Joss's stuff in the years since Buffy?
Well, I think everybody has.
Especially with Geek Nation.
Yes, obviously The Avengers was an amazing movie. Cabin in the Woods, and actually Much Ado About Nothing was just at South by Southwest, where I had to film as well, so I was direct there. So yeah, he's doing great. He's awesome. Yeah, and you're right. I have a site called Geek Nation, and we obviously cover a lot of, you know, geek and stuff. So
I'm guessing we have a few geeks in here.
Do you guys all know about her Geek Nation situation?
yes, it's a situation.
Well, then you should tell them about it.
I don't know what there is to tell.
How do they go to it?
It's a website I launched last July. It's a daily blog posts, videos, and also podcasts. So it's kind of like a network, but it's not a YouTube channel. It's just its own its own nation. And it's called geeknation.com, and just check it out. I think it's really cool. I've poured my heart and soul into it, so I hope you guys like it.
It's really wonderful. You guys should check it out. There's no
Nick
cord.
has a couple things on there.
There's no cord.
I know, it's kind of
Cordless. I can take this wherever I want to. It's crazy.
We can just continue on with this.
That's nuts. Yes. Right.
If I could reach the microphone.
You want to use my cord?
Okay, so I absolutely adore when TV shows do random musical episodes. How was filming that for you? Because Once More with Feeling is probably my favorite episode.
It was awesome. I loved it. When I heard about it, I was like, awesome. Because I didn't care if I was good or bad. Because I'm not paid to act and sing. So like, if I was bad, even the better, you know what I mean? Because I'm also like the comedy guy. But I saw Joss like two weeks ago, and he was like, he's like, I just watched the musical episode for the first time in like years. He's like, and I just, kind of like fell in love with it all over again. Because he's like, the thing with Joss, like, I went at it. I did 110%, the dance moves, the whole thing. I had a blast. Had a blast. You're welcome.
All right, next question.
Actually, question something for Nick. Can you do the Snoopy Dance?
I will. I am going to do the Snoopy Dance. And I'll do it at the end. God, my nipples hurting.
He had to.
I had a shower incident. I was in the shower at the hotel, and I was lathering up with the soap, and then I was completely naked. My finger slipped, and then my thumbnail caught underneath my left nipple.
It was a freak accident.
Yeah, it's pulsating.
I don't want to photo on your... No, go ahead.
Hi, Jackie. Can we give it up for Jackie, please? He gave me a Band-Aid to put over my nipple. So, I was told not to do it by Jackie on stage. So I had that spot.
All right, our friend in the Jane Cobb hat.
Hi, I was hoping you could talk about what it was like to work with Joss Whedon.
Yeah, Joss is strange because he's freaky smart, and so it's kind of strange being in the room with this smartest guy in the room. Like, that you're not the smartest guy in the room when he's in the room. You know what I mean? Hell, I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever, probably, but with Joss, you definitely know that you're not the smartest guy in the room. And I'm kind of writing something with him, so it's kind of like, it's tiny, it's a small thing, but it's like, so watching his mind work, kind of flesh it out, it's just crazy. But in the end, so it's wonderful.
Yeah, he's amazing. I mean, he's just super creative, and he doesn't have, like, even if he has an idea of how a scene should play out in his mind, like, he's just open to whatever happens in the moment as well. And I think one of the most unique things about him is the ability to write and direct he's not stronger in one or the other, in my opinion. He's like equally strong in both, and sometimes that can be hard, but I think that's part of the reason he's so successful is because he has a unique voice and he can translate that to film,
He's also a workaholic too, which is great.
Yeah,
lends to perfection. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Next question.
Question for both of you. What are you most afraid of?
I'll
throw it out there.
marshmallow and spiders?
I'm afraid of big-ass spiders.
I'm not. What am I most afraid of? I don't know. I'm probably being stabbed. You know, that doesn't sound like a good way to go to me.
Yeah, I think being crucified would suck. You know what I mean? Or being burned alive. It's pretty terrifying. Like cracks in the cement. No, I don't know. I think I'm afraid of things that everyone is afraid of. Dying is a little scary to me. You're welcome. Because I just want to be a good father.
You will be.
Are you sure? You just saying that?
No, you will be. You will be.
Hi, I have two questions for Nicholas. One is silly and one is serious. So serious one first.
Okay.
I know you are accepting marriage proposals, and I don't mean to break your heart, but could you forward a proposal to Matthew Gray Bugler for me?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You can look me up, I'm in Shawnee.
No, totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah, what's your name?
My name is Bailey.
Bailey?
Bailey Ross, yeah.
Bailey Ross, okay.
Yeah.
Expect to be married to Goose.
Okay, for real serious question. Was it harder?
That was a serious question?
That was a semi-serious.
Was it harder to, or is it harder for you to act with more supernatural motivations, or with, on criminal lines, more things that we could relate to, like being afraid of serial killers or jealousy of girlfriends and things like that? Is it harder to reach down and be afraid of demons? And
it's harder to speak tech. I don't know tech. And there was a scene, I think a couple episodes ago, where I was in I forgot what it was. I was in a library and we were looking for a bad guy, and I just memorized, and usually I'll look at things like 5 or 6 times and it'll get in my head. And this particular tech talk, I was like 25 times looking at it, and I just couldn't get it. So I finally got it. So I go into rehearse, and then they're like, oh. Jennifer's like, you know what, Nicky, I gotta know what you're saying. You know, and it really needs to be confusing, and so they completely changed my line after I learned it. So I, for the first time ever, I cut it out of the script and I taped it onto the computer screen. It was the first time I've ever had to do that. But yeah, so I think tech talk is the rough, but in terms of the emotional stuff, it's the same on both, whether there's a monster or whether there's a monster, because it's really, I just do monster shows.
Okay, also, just a quick comment. The light's shining on your hair makes it look like you have red tips, and it looks really good.
Red tips, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for both of you. Claire, first of all, did you know that there's a cheer competition going on here?
I did not.
I saw the girls in front of the hotel.
Oh, that's so
They're texting and moves.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I just thought that was really ironic.
That's really cute.
And then, Nicholas, how do we know that you are not your twin brother?
I know.
Because Kelly would be hanging out with the cheerleaders right now. And I know they're way too young. You just have to take my word for it, don't you now? No, I've got a tattoo of Jesus surfing.
There's several different.
Here. And I'm a little more muscular than Kelly is. And our teeth are different. Our penises are the same.
I wouldn't know about
That's
that.
actually the thing that looks most alike. It's the most identical thing about it. But so, it's just true. It's just true. And also, do you think I would be such a jerk as to send my brother because I'm too busy to meet my fans? You know what I mean? What are you saying about me?
All right, next question. Well, she's coming up. Kelly actually did appear on the show. That's right.
Kelly did, he was, yes, people always, the replacement, they're like, which one did you play? The nerdy one or the slutty one or the cool one? I'm like, I played both. And they're like, no. Like I did, I just had to dress, I had to change it. But Kelly was one of them. And then he ended up doing my stunts for the last 3 years.
Okay, well you just answered one of my questions.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I still have 2 more, one for each of you. Claire, I have to ask, like half the time on the show you were taking off your shoes or doing something with your clothes, was that actually a part of the script, or was that you and your feet hurting and you're taking off the shoes?
I don't remember. I don't think it was because my feet hurt. But I think that, to me, when I was playing her, it was important for me to still be grounding her in reality, and one of the ways that I chose to do that is through kind of like daily activities, so changing your shoes, or changing your clothes, or doing something while the scene is going on. So that was probably why I did
Brad Pitt
that.
eats.
And since I always had shoes on, it was always easy to take them off.
Okay, and Nicholas, in the musical episode, you had the longest line in I Have a Theory song. How did...
Oh, which one? It must be Witches, that one?
Yeah.
It's Witches, I mean, Witches is ridiculous, because Witches are pretty good and wicked good and willpower, and I'll be over here. You know, I got that too. It's like, because we cut the tracks, like, so we were lip singing the songs that we'd already put down on tape. So I remember on that particular, my head pops up and then it kind of goes down very slowly, and I'm like, I can't. I got on the first take, because I knew if I didn't, we were screwed. And I remember like going, you know, must be Witches, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm nailing this, you know what I mean? And I'm like, holy shit, this is really working. And then I'm like, oh, I got it, you know? And that's hard to do, and then we went for safety, and I totally fucked it up, and I'm like, we're done.
So how long did it take you to get that line down?
One take.
Fairly, well, in singing wise, it's just we did it over and over and over again, so I'm not really sure, but I mean, I knew my lines, so. And it could be from different, you know, how they kind of mix and match and stuff, so. But thank you for the question.
All right, next question here.
I have a question for each of you. First off, Claire. I was wondering, from a technical standpoint, you had several scenes where Glory would change into Ben, or Ben would morph into Glory. Can you talk about that a little bit, about how that was handled? I was always kind of curious, you know, how each of you would handle that transition.
Sure. Well, basically what we did was any scene where there was the morphing back and forth, we would each film each other's dialogue the whole time. So I would actually film myself and then also, you know, Ben, and then morphing back to Glory, and Ben would play kind of both parts. And then Charlie Weber, who played Ben, he was actually like almost a foot taller than me. So whenever I was filming, I had to be standing up on apple boxes so that the camera was capturing me at the same height as him. And then he would do the same, and then we'd film it where I'd say Glory's line, and I'd say like, I'd overlap maybe a line into Ben, and then they'd be like, freeze. And so I'd freeze, and they'd do a bunch of measurements where I was, and then they'd say, okay, walk out, and they'd keep the camera rolling, and Charlie would come in and like take that exact same pose, and then overlap one of my lines and do his stuff. So it was really time consuming. I'm sure today they would use new technology, it would be a lot easier, but we kind of did it like old school, you know? So it was fun, and it was good also for the character, because I did get to kind of like we got to overlap the performances a little bit.
Thank you. And I'm afraid I also have a Snoopy Dance question. Was it your creation, or did Joss come up with it, or did he just say, you know what, do a dance like Snoopy would do?
You know, I just one day I'm like, my feet hurt, and I'm gonna do the Snoopy Dance now. Go start taking your shoes off.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like a part of church. I went in my trailer and there was a DVD and it said Snoopy Dance on it, and I'm like, what's this? And it said, learn it, you're gonna be doing it the next episode. So that's how, actually I think it was a VHS. I think it was a VHS.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, the next question is coming up. Claire, can you talk a little bit about Big Ass Spider? Because that title is very intriguing.
The Big Ass Spider, yes. Let's see. I filmed it last year. It's a really fun movie. It's a comedy, surprisingly. It's a cross between like Ghostbusters and like Cloverfield, so it does have a scary thriller aspect to it as well. But it stars Greg Grunberg and myself and Ray Weiss, and we are basically fighting a big ass spider that's trying to take over Los Angeles. So it just premiered at South by Southwest, and actually I'm going up to Calgary in 2 weeks for a festival there, and then it should be in the theaters in the fall.
Sounds fun. We'll look forward to hearing.
It's fun, yeah.
Excellent. Next question.
Hi, I just want to say, first of all, Claire, you're my favorite villain of all time.
Thank
You're
you.
so cool.
I love you too.
My question is for Nicholas. I know I'm going to get in trouble for this,
but Dawn is one of my favorite characters. So I was wondering what you thought of Dawn and Xander getting together in the comic books.
Initially, I thought it was kind of strange, because I just think Michelle Trachtenberg is the 14-year-old girl that started. But she's not that anymore, so I'm cool. I've seen pictures.
She's a giant.
Next question.
Thank you.
I also have one for each of you. Claire, what was it like creating a character of a god playing against a Slayer?
Well, actually, the interesting thing about playing Glory is I didn't know she was a god until I got the script in which it's revealed to the audience that she's a god. And as an actress, I was reading, the first thing I would always do when I got the script, because I was, you know, not a series regular, and you didn't know how long you're going to be on the show. So I'd always flip to the back and be like, am I still alive? Okay, that's good. I'm happy about that. And then I'd start at the beginning and reading, and I got to the part where it said, you know, she's a god, and I was like, what? What? When did they decide this? You know, so it was at that point that I found out, and I sort of implemented a few additional traits, or maybe, you know, little idiosyncrasies into her personality there, but really, I think it was kind of good that I didn't know from the beginning, because I didn't have that preconceived notion of creating a god. I just created this character, and, you know, I think that's part of what makes her unique. In terms of her going against a Slayer, I mean, that was always fun, and for a while we were like, how's she gonna defeat, like, how's Buffy ever gonna, you know, persevere and prevail over Glory? But of course the writers figured that out. Not really.
And Nick, now that Joss is so well known for writing female characters, what do you feel like the legacy of Xander will be in the universe, given that, you know, it seems to be always talking about the females, and
Xander was a female.
I don't know if you guys caught that episode.
He had a lot of women type qualities, you know. So, but the question is, how do I feel playing a dude amongst?
Well, just how much of the character do you think, you know, blended into one of the girls, or do you think that he stands out? I mean, given that, you know, Angel and Spike plays kind of alpha male characters, you're the lasting influence of the series. You're the whole span. And, you know, as a male character in that universe, how do you feel like the legacy of that character will be read?
Wow, legacy questions. Listen, I think you said it pretty succinctly, you know? It's, you know, it's kind of like what Don said, you know? It's like you're the glue, you know? You see, you watch, you know? So it's kind of, you know, I just think he's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I know, it's true. I miss him so much. Let me start crying. I have to put on a shirt again, you know, and say some Xander lines. So, yeah. Cool. I'm not sure I had to answer that.
I think that was a good answer.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mrs. Aquaman has a question.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Question for you, Nicholas. I was wondering if there was anything in the season 8 comic that you were disappointed in regards to Xander's character development.
What happens in season 8? I mean, I think I know, because season 9 is being done now, and season 10, okay. Well, he's with Dawn, right? He's a watcher, he's in charge of all.
By the end.
Yeah, but he's in charge of all of the Slayers, correct? Is that season 8?
Help him out here, sister.
In charge of is kind of...
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to get into like semantics right now. So, I mean, but is he like the watcher in this? Help me out. I see, I haven't read season 8, so...
I figured you would have that known from cover to cover.
No.
He's more of a butler.
No. I mean, I know what's going on, vaguely, but I'm not a huge comic book fan. I never was. This is the thing, I read an Archie comic when I was like 6 years old, and I'm like, no, I don't like this. So I started playing baseball instead. So yeah, no, I mean, I really don't, Like I know what's going on, and I think it's wonderful.
You can't be disappointed in what you don't know, right?
But no, I do know. I just haven't read.
I will say it is hard to take a character that you played for 7 years and watch it live on without you and without having any influence.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
You know,
I mean, I really want to play it. You know. So.
It's good for you guys, but for Nick, I can only. I mean, it obviously didn't happen with Lori because she's not into comics. But I think it would be kind of weird to have someone that you created and played for 7 years, day in, day out, lived and breathed, and then all of a sudden they have a life without you.
It's just cool actually having a comic in my likeness.
Yeah, I'm just jealous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next question.
Hi Claire, hi Nick.
Hi.
Nice to meet you both. I want to introduce my daughter Cordelia.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. It's kind of a general question for both of you. I kind of raised my family after, Buffy was on when I was in college, and with the advent of Netflix, I was able to kind of bring that to my family as kind of had them growing up. So I kind of wondered if Netflix on like kind of on all the fronts of the projects, the TV series you've worked on, how that's changed. Like, I mean, when Buffy was on originally, maybe you could get the series on DVD, maybe people traded VHS tapes.
Yeah, it's funny, they used to tape it. How many people here started watching the show after the show was over? And how many people watched it because of Netflix? I mean, Netflix really kind of made it surge. I mean, this bad example here. But no, I definitely noticed that once Netflix was up and running and streaming, it was just kind of crazy.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Next person.
I'm addicted to watching series on Netflix as well, so, I mean, it's like the best.
Like, what's your favorite show on Netflix right now?
I don't know.
What's your favorite show right now?
My favorite, well, I mean, please, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, Breaking Bad. I'm watching also Spartacus, which is the end. And if you guys haven't seen, I'm like a little advertisement here for all my shows, but Vikings on History Channel, if you have not checked it out, it's amazing. So, it's really
Actually, I got hooked into the Bible.
Oh, I did.
I really did. I was at my mom's on Easter, and
it comes on before the Vikings, so I always catch the last like 5 minutes because my TiVo records it.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Miss Owl Lady. Hi.
Hello. So my name is Jill, and this will mean something in just a second. So we finished season 6 with a group of friends, and I wept like the tiniest infant. And my friends came up to me and they're like, Jill, you know how season 6 ends with a carpenter saving the world with his love? And then I stared at them and they're like Jesus? And I'm like, I guess that's probably right. And then I'm like, Joss, you are a sneaky man. And so my question for you guys, after experiencing Joss in life in the Whedonverse, I've always learned that, the people that save the world aren't always the superheroes, that anybody has a chance to save the world. And I was wondering if you guys, after working with Joss, found a voice or a spirituality or anything from Joss that if you were impacted by any of his crazy ideas and thoughts.
Not in that capacity. I mean, and Joss is an atheist too, which is kind of crazy. So it's kind of talking about spirituality. Nothing. It didn't open up a chakra.
I think that, I'm kind of along with Nick with that, but I think one thing that I did take from working with him is you can be an artist without limitations in your life. You don't have to subscribe to a certain philosophy or method of like practicing your art. Like there's nothing that, there's no parameters when you're an artist. If you're an artist, who writes, you can also direct, you can also do photography, you can also do readings of Shakespeare at your house, you can film The Avengers and Much Ado About Nothing back to back, and you know what, you shouldn't listen to people who tell you you can't, because you can. And that's what I have taken from my relationship with him, is it's kind of freed me as an artist and made me be like, hey, listen, this may be unconventional, it may not work. I don't care, I'm gonna try it, you know, and that's a very liberating attitude to have, and I encourage every one of you to take that from Joss as well.
Hello, this question's for Nicholas. Xander was always one of my favorite characters on Buffy because so often he's that comic relief character, and obviously, as we've experienced in this panel so far, you're a very funny guy. Was acting always kind of the direction you wanted to go in that, or did you ever consider going into comedy in other directions, stand-up, improv, etc.?
Yeah, excuse me. First of all, can you rest your head on your boobs? Is that you can?
It's amazing. It's amazing.
You really have to see this. It's crazy.
Stand up. Let everyone else see too.
Okay, now
yeah.
And now rest your head on your boobs.
Oh, nice. I love that, girl. Well,
So, to answer your question.
after we get that out of the way.
You know, the stand-up comedy and all that, it's so completely different from acting. And I asked, it's like, do you want to do that? Would you like to do that? And A, it terrifies me. And B, it's kind of, stand-up comedy is based on, it's not based on comedy. It's based on tragedy. It's you know, it's not, which is kind of ironic. So, and it's just cutthroat, and everyone's doing cocaine and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So I just decided to stick with acting. But you never know, maybe next year I'll start doing stand-up comedy, and then I'll be in rehab.
Well, thank you.
You know what? On that note, Nick is one of the most underused talents in LA. He truly is hilarious, funny, sweet, genuine.
I love you, Kramer.
I love you more.
We're gonna have wings
I said
today
it first. Yes, hot wings. We always have a
This
tradition.
girl eats so many hot wings. It's
We have a
crazy.
tradition of going and having hot wings when we're at conventions. I don't know why. That's probably too much information.
All right, I've got 2 questions. First one, Nicholas. The second time with Faith, what was the safe word and would you have used it?
Safe word. The safe, what would the safe word be?
Stop, please, I can't breathe.
No, that's the safe word. What would the safe word be? It would be a really, really long sentence so that I could never complete it, you know what I mean? Let's get the shit kicked out of me. And then, was there a second?
Yes. With a lot of television and film things, they like to do, the word's escaping me right now, but were there any unscripted moments that was just kind of acted spontaneously during the show? And this is for both of you. And if there were, what was your most favorite moment?
There was not. Joss Whedon does not. When Joss Whedon scripts are Joss Whedon scripts. The only 2 things that I ever did, there was the time there was the puppet episode, and I said rah 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 rah. That was mine. And then there was a time where I remember I was calling. We were calling somebody's house, you know, and I said, you know, there was like a big stovetop stuffing ad at the time, so I just kind of told that stovetop stuffing ad is, hey, is Timmy home? You know, and so but typically no, there was no. If you missed, you know, a predicate, an adverb, if the emotion was there and you missed the A, he's like,
we gotta do it again.
I put that A there for a reason. Where on Criminal Minds, it's not. You just kind of get around, get in the vicinity of it. It's like,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Okay. I've got 2 questions. This one's for you, Clare Kramer. What parts of you made it into your character?
All of me made it into my character. You know, I mean, I mean, there's a difference between playing someone, you know, like when Daniel Day-Lewis plays Abraham Lincoln and me playing Glory, you know, there wasn't a Glory to model my performance after, you know, so really it was taking me and then adding a little bit, taking a little bit away, but essentially, you know, I mean, a character like that is created from you, so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, good.
This is for both of you. What do you miss of the show? Either on set or off set.
It's a lot. I miss the family of it. I mean, I got so incredibly lucky. You know, I didn't know. I mean, I just lucked into this part, and so I'm just doing this thing, and I'm saying these great words, and you know, I miss going to work every day. I miss, you know, it's just there's so much that I just took for granted. And even in the moment, I knew that I was taking it for granted. So is that taking it for granted? You know what I mean? If you're aware that you're taking it for granted? There's nothing that I don't miss about it. You know? So it's kind of, it would take too long to list the things that I miss about it.
Aww. Yeah, I mean, I obviously didn't have the 7 years on the show, but it was, you know, it was a great job. It was working with like extremely talented, creative people, a fun environment, and that, you know, as much as you want to think that every acting job is going to have a, you know, positive energy on the set. That's not always the case, and so...
Because actors are weird. They're unstable individuals.
That can sometimes be the case,
yeah.
So, you know, it was a great experience.
Thank you.
Never date an actor. I follow the same advice. You make love to them.
We have about 8 minutes left, so we'll try to get through as many of these questions as we can. Come on up to the microphone.
Yeah, I just had an easy question. My favorite episode for Xander is the episode for Halloween, whenever you dress up as and kind of become the badass commando. And I was just wondering how you felt about that role, and also if you had any like preparedness with actual military personnel to kind of become that. Just kind of go from being the cool.
Become that awesome, that believable.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was
that was
pretty
all
good.
me, baby. That was all me. The only thing that I had to practice was when I shot the gun out of the door. That was really kind of cool because it was like it was live rounds, so it was really shooting his legs. But no, I mean, I just it's what I do is I get the script and then I get the lines and then I pretend that I'm that person and then I say the lines. Thank you.
It works.
Keep it down to its simplest form.
Next question, come on up.
Hi. I just wanted to, first I have a question for you, Nicholas, but I wanted to say first thank you because when the show came out, I was 6. You were my first celebrity crush.
Who was your second celebrity crush?
I don't know, it was between James and the guy, Alan Grant from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Got a little bit of variety in there. But, yeah, I grew up with you. You were you and Willow, those were my favorite characters growing up, and it's still my favorite TV show. But my 2 favorite episodes were Halloween and The Witch, both of which you got to play really awesome badass characters.
Yeah.
Which was your favorite badass character to be?
Out of those 2?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really enjoyed doing the Halloween episode, and there was something about it. I don't think that that my character was that great. I just loved that particular episode when we were shooting it, like at Buffy's house and stuff. It just, you know, when you get those moments in life, where it's like, oh my god, this is my life, you know? This is so fucking awesome. And that was also crazy. That was also when Princess Diana died. So all of that stuff was going on, and it was just like, it was still, everything was so wonderful and new. So this is gonna go not character-wise, but just where I was mentally.
See, I
don't like sitting in a makeup trailer for that long. So being a vampire is not for me.
I remember you being military guy. I don't remember Princess Diana. I was 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, leave that to me. I remember it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll have time for one more question from the audience.
No pressure. Better be a good one.
Best question ever.
Okay, I have 2 questions, and there's only one thing I want to say about the players. You're one of my 2 favorite villains from Buffy.
Well, thank you.
And my first question is, what are characters you hope to play in the future, both of you? In movies?
I need to play a doctor. I've always wanted to say that I'm not a doctor, but I play one on television. I just need to say that and mean it. I did a play with Noah Wiley, and we became friends, and he's been a couple times where he's been like the first responder at like a major traffic accident. Like one people just got, he was saying on the left, someone just got nailed, and he was like, here's, Dr. Wiley, so I just...
That is so awesome.
That's crazy, yeah. And he kind of knew what he was doing, too, because he had some training from the ER. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy that he knew not to move anybody. I know that you want to move, but you're just not going to move right. So, really, I just enjoy acting. I just enjoy pretending that I'm not me.
Yeah, and as far as like a specific character, I am equal opportunity. I just like to play interesting characters and dynamic characters. I'm not, actually, Big Ass Spider is the first time I've ever had like a love line.
With the spider?
Storyline. Yeah, with the spider. That's right.
I might think
the spider is in love. The spider does kidnap me at one point. But just dynamic, strong women, female characters. Because I'm a female.
You are a female.
And my second question is, what are your favorite episodes? What's your favorite one?
The favorite episode is, by the way, my birthday next Friday.
Happy birthday!
Thanks. Really? Okay, well, we put the musical aside always, because that to me is just above and beyond, and it's just different. So outside of that, probably, it's so hard, isn't it? What's yours? I think maybe Hush. Hush is very effective. There's so many great ones. It's really hard, so hard to pick. So hard to pick one. So now, what's yours outside of?
I think one of my favorites, outside of much more feeling, I think, is the first episode for Oz.
Yeah.
That one was so cool because I like the makeup, just so awesome.
Yeah. Well, then see, there you have it.
Yep.
I've never heard that before. But, that's the favorite episode, but everyone has their favorites. But yeah.
I would say from my perspective, the 100th episode was my favorite because it was kind of the pinnacle of my character, a lot of stunt work, and just kind of like everything I liked in that episode.
Have you guys seen those AT&T ads where that guy is talking to the kids?
Yes.
Yeah. How awesome is that guy, by the way? He's so, I don't know why I just thought of him. Oh my God, he's so wonderful. It's just kind of like, he's so dry and talking to his kids, and then there's one's like, he says, what's better, doing one thing or doing two things at the same time? He's like two things. He's like, look, I can shake my head. He's like, he's like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And then a girl's like, I hold on, I'm watching this.
I'm gonna look it up.
Don't know why I thought of that, but thank you.
Thank you.
All right, are we done?
Yeah, you guys have been fantastic.
Snoopy Dance. I wish I had done it when you first asked me because my bladder's now filled with urine. Urine in the bladder. Ready?
Yeah.
And thank you, you've been a fantastic audience. Enjoy the rest of the show.